They say you've got to balance your work and your home life. Balance your goals with your rest. Balance everything so you don't burn out. And while it sounds good, here's the truth. Balance doesn't create achievement. Balance often leaves people spread so thin, they don't make progress anywhere. Balance makes you average. Focus makes you extraordinary. When you try to give everything equal attention, nothing gets the best of you. A little here, a little there. And in the end, you've been busy, but not effective. And life doesn't reward balance. It rewards focus. It rewards the person who decides, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm committed to. This is what deserves my best energy. I've met people who pride themselves on being balanced. They've got a dozen projects going at once, a calendar full of appointments, a desk stacked with papers. They say they're managing it all, but look closer. They're not excelling anywhere. They're stressed, exhausted, and making only shallow progress in a dozen directions instead of meaningful progress in one. That's not balance. That's dilution. Now compare that with the person who focuses, the one who chooses a handful of things that truly matter and gives them attention, energy, and consistency. That person achieves extraordinary results. They master their craft, build wealth, strengthen relationships. Not because they tried to do everything at once, but because they focused on what mattered most. And here's the paradox. When you focus, balance begins to take care of itself. Focused effort creates results that spill over into other areas of life. Focus on your health, and suddenly you have more energy for work and family. Focus on your finances, and you relieve stress in your relationships. Focus in one area lifts the others. Balance, on the other hand, tries to divide your energy evenly and ends up leaving everything undernourished. So the message is clear. You don't need balance, you need focus. You don't need to spread yourself thin. You need to concentrate. You don't need to chase everything. You need to commit to the few things that matter most. Because life doesn't pay you for how well you balance. It pays you for how well you focus. Balance has become one of those ideas people hold up as the ultimate goal. They say if only they could balance work and family, goals and rest, responsibilities and hobbies, then life would be perfect. It sounds reasonable, but balance often produces the opposite. Instead of fulfillment, balance produces frustration. Instead of achievement, it produces mediocrity. Here's why. Balance suggests you can give equal energy to everything, but you can't. Time and energy are limited. Spread them evenly across too many things, and nothing gets the best of you. You don't build mastery, you don't create momentum, and you don't achieve meaningful results. You stay in the shallow end of everything and the deep end of nothing. And life doesn't reward dabblers, it rewards those who commit. I've seen people chase balance with great intensity, long to-do lists with 20 categories of life, trying to give each one equal attention. And the result? They were busy, but not effective. Tired, but not accomplished. Balanced on paper, but stretched so thin that nothing truly changed. Balance often becomes an excuse. People say they don't want to focus too much on one thing, they need balance. But sometimes that's just another way of saying they don't want to commit. They don't want to go all in. Balance can be a shield people hide behind to avoid risk, but it also prevents reward. Think of it this way. If a farmer plants a little seed in every field, giving no field full attention, what will he harvest? A little from each place, but not enough to thrive. But if he chooses the richest soil, focuses his energy there and cultivates deeply, the harvest is abundant. Balance says plant everywhere a little. Focus says plant where it counts, and that makes all the difference. This doesn't mean neglect everything else. It means recognizing the truth. Not everything is equal. Some things matter far more than others. Some things deserve your best energy, while others can be managed with less. Balance says everything is equal. Focus says priorities are unequal, and that's how they should be. So the myth of balance is this: divide yourself evenly, and you'll live better. The truth is, divide yourself evenly, and you weaken yourself. The secret is to direct yourself fully. Focus is what creates mastery. Focus is what creates success. Focus is what builds a life of substance and achievement. Once you understand that balance is a myth, the natural question becomes, what's the alternative? If balance dilutes you, what multiplies you? The answer is focus. Focus is one of the most powerful forces you can bring into your life. When you concentrate your time, energy, and resources on the things that matter most, everything changes. Results come faster. Progress feels clearer. Life begins to move in a direction that makes sense. And it's not because you're working harder, it's because you're working with focus. Think about a magnifying glass. The sun shines on the earth every day, but it doesn't set anything on fire. Spread out, the energy is warm but harmless. Take that same sunlight, concentrate it through a magnifying glass, and it burns. The difference isn't the energy, it's the focus. Life works the same way. Your energy, your time, your talent, they only create power when you focus them. This truth plays out over and over again. A young man spends years dabbling, trying a little of this, a little of that. He stays busy, he stays balanced, but he never gains traction. Then one day he decides to focus. He chooses one area, commits to it fully, and suddenly his results multiply. Within a short time, he accomplishes more in that one field than he had in years of scattering his energy. Focus changed everything. Focus creates momentum. The more attention you give to something, the more it grows. You can't give everything equal attention, but you can give extraordinary attention to what matters most. And when you do, focus compounds. Success in one area spills into others. Master your finances, and you'll find yourself less stressed and more capable in relationships. Focus on your health, and you'll have more energy to pursue your career. Focus multiplies across every part of life. History's great achievers prove this. They weren't balanced, they were focused. An inventor pours decades into one vision. An athlete spends years training in one sport. A businessman dedicates his energy to mastering one industry. Their results weren't accidental. They weren't scattered. They were focused, and that focus produced excellence. Here's the key. Focus doesn't mean neglecting everything else. It means prioritizing what matters most. It's the discipline of saying, this is what deserves your best energy right now. And when you do, progress feels inevitable. The distractions lose their pull. The excuses lose their power. And the results start to compound. That's the power of focus. It multiplies your effort. It builds momentum. It creates mastery. Balance divides you, but focus directs you. And directed effort always beats scattered effort. Always. So the next question is obvious. How do you decide what deserves your focus? Because not everything qualifies. Not everything deserves the best of you. Not everything in life deserves your full attention. That's one of the hardest lessons to learn, but also one of the most liberating. Once you understand that not everything is equal, you can stop scattering your energy and start concentrating it where it counts. Most people spend their lives majoring in minor things. They give hours to distractions, days to trivial pursuits, and years to activities that don't move them any closer to their goals. They pour energy into arguments, gossip, television, or busy work. Things that feel urgent but mean nothing in the long run. And then they wonder why their lives don't change. The answer is simple. They gave their best to the wrong things. The real secret is to identify what deserves focus. Ask yourself, what areas, if invested in deeply, would create the greatest return in life? For most, the list is short. Health deserves focus, because without health, everything else crumbles. Finances deserve focus, because without resources, opportunities stay out of reach. Relationships deserve focus, because life without meaningful connections feels empty. Personal growth deserves focus, because you can't rise above your level of skill and understanding. These few areas are majors. They matter. They deserve your best. A young man once admitted he was exhausted. He was trying to do everything at once, learning 3 languages, starting multiple side businesses, volunteering everywhere, all while working full-time. On the surface, he looked impressive. But when asked what progress he was making in any of those areas, he admitted he was stuck. Nothing was moving forward. He was busy, but he wasn't advancing. The advice was simple. Pick one. Focus on the one that matters most. Put the others aside for now. Once you master one, then you can expand. And when he did, his life changed dramatically. Within a year, he was excelling where before he was only dabbling. Choosing what deserves focus requires honesty. You've got to ask, is this a major or a minor? Is this truly important or just convenient? Does this move you closer to your goals, or is it just filling time? These questions cut through the noise. They help you see clearly where your attention should go. Because the truth is, if everything is important, nothing is important. You've got to decide. Here's the good news. Once you choose your focus, you free yourself from guilt about the rest. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to balance it all. You only need to give your best to the few things that truly matter. And that's where success is born. So the myth of balance fades once you understand this principle. Not everything deserves your energy. Choose wisely. Focus on the majors. Set aside the minors and give your best where it will count the most. That decision alone can change the entire direction of your life. But once you've chosen what deserves your focus, there's another challenge. You've got to guard it, because distractions, interruptions, and excuses will constantly fight to pull you away. That's what comes next. Focus, once chosen, must be defended. The moment you decide what matters most, the world will try to pull you away from it. Distractions come knocking, interruptions sneak in, excuses whisper in your ear. And if you don't guard your focus, all the progress you've made can slip right through your fingers. One of the biggest enemies of focus is distraction. The world is full of noise, phone calls, emails, endless entertainment, people pulling you in every direction. And here's the problem. Most of those things feel urgent, but they aren't important. They demand attention, but they don't deserve it. Every yes to a distraction is a no to your own priorities. Protecting focus means guarding attention fiercely. Another challenge is interruptions from others. People will always want a piece of your time. They'll bring their emergencies, their plans, their projects, and if you're not careful, you'll end up living someone else's agenda instead of your own. Guarding focus requires boundaries. It means saying no when something doesn't align with your priorities. It means carving out time that belongs to you and protecting it as priceless, because it is. Practical strategies help. Simplify routines. Eliminate commitments that don't serve your goals. Remove clutter from your schedule, your environment, even your relationships, if necessary. Every unnecessary thing you remove creates space for what truly matters. And that space is where focus thrives. I once knew a man who worked the foundation of your life. And as that foundation grows, it lifts everything else. You find yourself standing on solid ground instead of scattered sand. I've met people who were living scattered, balanced lives. They were constantly exhausted, constantly behind, constantly wondering why they weren't further along. But once they shifted to focus, choosing priorities, cutting away distractions, the transformation was dramatic. They accomplished more in 1 year of focus than in 10 years of balance. And along with the results came something they didn't expect: peace of mind. No more guilt for not doing everything. No more stress from endless juggling. Just clarity, direction, and growth. The focused life is intentional. It says, I know what matters. I know what deserves my energy, and I will give it my best. It isn't accidental. It isn't scattered. And it certainly isn't balanced in the way most people think of balance. It's stronger than that. It's sharper than that. It's deliberate. And because of that, it produces results that balance never could. So remember this: balance spreads you thin. Focus makes you strong. Balance keeps you average. Focus makes you exceptional. Balance looks good on paper, but focus builds a life worth living. And when you commit to living with focus, you find that fulfillment isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things with all you've got. So before I go, I want to give you a clear reminder. You don't need balance, you need focus. Balance has been the word on everyone's lips for years. Balance isn't what creates progress. Balance divides you, but focus multiplies you. Balance spreads you thin, but focus makes you strong. Balance keeps you average, but focus helps you excel. And the lesson is clear. If you truly want results, if you truly want fulfillment, you don't need balance. You need focus. So what's the takeaway from all of this? It's simple. Don't try to do it all. Don't divide yourself into so many parts that nothing gets your best. Instead, choose. Choose the few things that matter most. Choose your health. Choose your finances. Choose your relationships. Choose your growth. And then focus. Give those areas your best attention, your best energy, your best effort. And when you do, you'll find the results speak for themselves. Life doesn't reward the one who balances everything equally. It rewards the one who focuses on what matters most and commits fully. That's where progress is made. That's where fulfillment is found. And that's where your future is built. So here's the challenge. Don't chase balance. Chase focus. Don't scatter your energy. Direct it. Don't major in minor things. Major in the majors. Choose wisely. Focus deeply. And watch your life transform. Not because you tried to balance it all, but because you finally had the courage to focus on what really matters. Because at the end of the day, balance may look good on paper, but focus builds the life you want. And once you understand that truth, you'll never settle for balance again.